there is a classic custom, a minhag amongst Klal Yisrael, that on Shavuos and during the reading of Aseret Hadibros in Parshas Yisro and Vayeschanan, many stand for the Aseret Hadibros. The Rambam was asked this question: is there an obligation for a person to stand during Aseret Hadibros? And the Rambam indicates that this is an improper kind of practice, because the Rambam was concerned lest people somehow assume that the Aseret Hadibros somehow have a status markedly different than the rest of the Torah. And the Rambam claims that there's no distinction. Every pasuk in Chumash has a kedusha, has an inherent sanctity, and therefore there's no distinction between the pasuk B'simna ha'iseh pilegesh l'lifas ben Esav and or the Aseret Hadibros. What's very fascinating is that despite the Rambam's tshuva, yet Klal Yisrael continues to stand for Aseret Hadibros. And the Rambam speaks very strongly and castigates those who dafka stand for the Aseret Hadibros. Why is that so? I heard from my Rabbi, Rav Soloveitchik, the following answer. He pointed out in the Aseret Hadibros there are two types of trop. There's one trop which is called Tam Tachton, and there's one trop which is called Tam Elyon. The distinction between the two, by the way, is already mentioned by the Mishnah Berurah in the Bi'ah Halacha, but Rav Soloveitchik explained the distinction along the following lines. What's the distinction between these two types of trop, Tam Tachton and Tam Elyon? He pointed out Tam Tachton divides the Kriya of Aseret Hadibros into psukim, into verses. As we know that in general the Tamim of Kol HaTorah Kula also, they are basically cantillation or trop, which is on verses, on psukim. However, Tam Elyon does not divide the Kriya into psukim, but rather into dibros. Means we have in effect 10 dibros. And therefore, you can have, for example, with Tam Elyon, all the psukim relating to Shabbos are basically all bunched together. They're all more or less, they merge into one, because we're focused on a dibra. A dibra constitutes one unit. Because the unit for Tam Elyon is not the unit of psukim, but rather is the unit of a dibra. While She'en Kain, in contradistinction to Tam Tachton, that trop, the unit is the pasuk, as opposed to the dibra. And therefore, you can have a situation where if you have Tam Elyon, so all the psukim of Shabbos are together, even though you have several psukim. And on the other hand, Tam Elyon takes Lo Tirtzach, Lo Tinov, Lo Tignov, and divides them, because we're talking about separate dibros. Rav Soloveitchik pointed out that there are different minhagim what trop to use. In Eretz Yisrael, and I think in many places in Chutz La'aretz as well, the minhag is always to read the Aseret Hadibros Tam Tachton, namely Parshas Yisro and Parshas Vayeschanan. The Tam Tachton is used. The trop that divides the Kriya into psukim, that's the trop that's used. However, there is a fascinating practice that on Shavuos, there we read Tam Elyon. There we focus not so much on the psukim, we focus on the dibros. And the question is, why should the reading on Shavuos be different than the reading of Shabbos Parshas Yisro and Shabbos Parshas Vayeschanan? There we said the trop that's used is the Tam Tachton, dividing the Kriya into psukim. Mashenkin on Shavuos, the trop that's read is the Tam Elyon. And the answer, Rav Soloveitchik indicated, and this perhaps may explain the reason why people stand for Aseret Hadibros, is because when we read Tam Elyon, that's when we stand for Aseret Hadibros. When the Rambam castigated those who stand for Aseret Hadibros, he was talking about people who read the Aseret Hadibros using Tam Tachton. And that's mashma from the Rambam, that they read Tam Tachton. However, on Shavuos, when we read Tam Elyon, then one is obligated to stand. The question then is why? And the answer is the following. Because Tam Tachton, that divides the Kriya into psukim, we're talking about Talmud Torah. A pasuk is the unit of learning. It's a unit of Limud Torah, which a person can absorb. He studies psukim, each pasuk individually. After a period of time, of course, you have many psukim. That's an exercise which, of course, is of an intellectual nature. That's Tam Tachton. However, the Kriyas HaTorah of Shavuos is not Tam Tachton, it's Tam Elyon. Why? Because here it's in Dibris. And here what we are trying to do is recreate Maimon HaSinai. we're trying to once again re-experience the theophany, the experience of Maimon HaSinai that was very powerful, that was very dramatic, that the Torah describes in incredible drama and passion. If that's the case, so then one is certainly obligated to stand for that Matan Torah experience of Dibros, as opposed to Tam Tachta, which is an exercise, intellectual exercise in learning. The units are units of Psukim, not units of Dibros, and that's why the Rambam, even though he castigated those who stood, he's talking about Tam Tachton, which is normally read in the Parshas of Yisro and Veschanan. The unit is a unit of Psukim. That does not require a Pashtur of Amidah. But Shavuos, where we have a Kabbalah Satorah, every year a new Kabbalah Satorah Mechadash, a Jew has to be ready to accept and re-accept the Torah and re-experience the drama and power of Maimon HaSinai. There we're going to use a different trup, the trup of Tam Elyon, which is the trup of Dibros, and that of course has to be Be'ema, Be'ira, Be'reseis, Be'zeya, and if that's the case, that requires a Pashtur of Amidah. Halavai we should be zocha this Shavuos, not only to the Kriya of Tam Tachton of Yisro and Veschanan, but to the special distinctive Kriya of Shavuos of Kabbalah Satorah Mechadash, of the power and drama of Maimon HaSinai.